Shir and Maseches B'Metzia, Perek Maseches Umnim, Daf Ha'inei Yomid Beis, on the bottom, standing the Mishnah. The Mishnah is going to bring 6 different cases about workers, different issues with workers. Zog the Eilike Mishnah. Maseches Umnim, somebody who hired workers, Veitu Zeze, and they tricked one another. Now we don't know how they tricked, and we also don't know who tricked who. But the Mishnah says, they only have a right to have a complaint, but they have no right to ask for money. Says Rashi, the Gemara is going to explain. Why the Gemara needs to explain? Because the Gemara wants to explain who tricked, how they tricked, and why they only have a right to complain and not to get money. Second case. Somebody who hired someone who leads a donkey, and somebody who has wagons. To do what? To bring beautiful cut-off pieces of wood to make a kalitcha. V'chalilim or flutes, lakalo ilameis, for kalo dead person. Upayalim lalo ispishtono mina misra. Or he hired workers to bring up his flax from the water that it soaks in it to make it soft. And then he thinks that if that's not going to be done now, either he's going to lose his kavone like Freie for him, he's going to lose his kavone to having a beautiful kalitcha, or the flax from the water is actually going to lose money because it's going to get destroyed. The chazu bohem, and they backed out. So the din will be the follow: mokom she'ein shomodom, in a place when you don't have workers to hire for the same price, rather for a lot more. So what does he do? Choice one, soicher aleim. He hires other workers for a lot more, and the first workers have to pay. Or imatum, or he tricks them, and the Gemara is going to explain how he tricks them. Rashi. Socha zachamo or sakador lovi freiforim v'chalilim, says Rashi, kador, a kador, what is a kador? Balkorin, somebody who has a wagon. Freiforim, what is it? Eitzim meshupim v'noim, beautiful cut piece of wood, la'asus la'alpirion, to make him a kalitcha. V'chalilim nakalo, for what do we need a chalilim? L'sameach chosam v'kalo, to make a chosam v'kalo happy, for music. Oy lemeis, what do we need for a meis chalilim? Lekoinen, to make everybody sad. Misra, roish, it's in Old French. Misra and roish is the same. What is it? Maim sheshoyrim bohem, water that we soak in it, canvas upishton, canvas and flax, keshem begivoilim, when they are in the shelf, in order to make them soft. Mokom shein shomodom, she'einon moitze poyalim niskor, is not able to find workers to hire for the same price. V'apishton of it, and the pishton going to get destroyed. V'hu samach aleim, and he relied on them. Soicher aleim, so he hires instead of them. Bnei yodom beyoiker, people for more money. V'haleim l'shalem, and the first workers have to pay for it. Oy matom. Says Rashi mefarish beGemara exactly how he tricks them. Says the Tosfos Esaka or. Says Tosfos, not like Rashi that it says in the Mishnah Kador, rather it says in the Mishnah Karor utu reish b'shnei reishim vehu bal korin. A karor is somebody who has a wagon. A kador usually is someone who has spots, not a wagon. So now Tosfos wants to explain how are we going to answer the gears of Rashi, the way Rashi says that it's a kador who is a balkoin. As we know, always a kador is somebody who has spots. Well, the Sforim, the Garsi kador, and according to the Sforim that they say that the Mishnah says kador, so why has it come from a kador to somebody who has a wagon? That's why he chooses to say a kador. Because people who have parts, usually they also have wagons, and that's what he rent. Now Tosfos says something what is called a hidden question. What's a hidden question? When you hire somebody to bring you a beautiful piece of wood to make a kalitcha, if you don't do it, if they quit, so nothing will happen. What happened? What did he lose? Why is it called dover ha'ovid? So answer Tosfos, dover ha'ovid choshiv lo. It's considered dover ha'ovid. Why? So it's because right now it's the time to do it and not later. So even though you're not losing money, you're just losing your kavon, it's still considered dover ha'ovid. We're going now to the third case. The last line of the Mishnah. Now, till now the Mishnah talked about at the types of workers. Either somebody that works for the day and he gets paid, which is a poel or a kablon. And from now on, the Mishnah is only going to talk about a kablon, a guy who works for the job. So somebody are hired workers. And they backed out in the middle of the job. The hands is on the bottom, which means it's an expression that they're going to lose. How they're going to lose? So basically, we're going to look. Let's say if you hired workers for $100, and they quit in the middle, so they did a job for $50. So if the second workers, now we're going to look how much the second workers wants. And the leftovers, whatever is going to be left over from the second workers, that's what we're going to give the first workers. But in a case when nothing is going to be left over, they're not going to get anything. Says Rashi, to do a melocha is a kablon, meaning to work for the job, for so much money. They backed out after they did a little bit. Says Rashi. Now Rashi is explaining in two ways how they're going to lose. If the second workers are more expensive, and he cannot find anyone to finish the job. And the same amount of money that the first one deserved to get. And what has to still be done. So what does he do? He holds back from the payment, from what the first workers did, whatever he's going to need to spend on the second workers, till his job is going to be finished, with the same amount that he made up with the first one. That means he's going to end up spending the same amount, which is $100, and he's not going to have to spend more money. Now, from here we see that what happened if the second worker, if he made up with the first workers, to spend $100, and the second workers, let's say, want $150 to finish the second part of the job. Do the first workers have to now lay out money, put out money from their own pockets to make up for that loss? So from Rashi's mashma that the first workers don't have to pay. Why? Because it says me'akev mischar mimma she'osu. You can only hold back from what they did. So instead of paying the first workers, is using it to pay the second workers, but they don't have to pay anything extra because it's not dover of it. Now Rashi continues, Ve'im uzlu poyalim, and if the second workers are cheaper, let's say they only want $25, Ve'im tzashig mereno bepochos, and he's going to find someone that is going to finish the job for less. What does he do? Yosoim lohem masheosu. He values to the first workers what they did. And he's going to give them according to what they made up. For example, if they did a half, he gives them a half of their payment, which is $50. Now, but if the second worker only wants $25, that means that he has an extra $25 flowing in his pocket. So the question is, who has a right for that extra $25? So Rashi says, the first workers cannot tell him, there are other workers instead of us to finish the job, so therefore give us the entire amount of money, meaning give us the full $100 chutz minus from what the second workers took. That means give us $75. Why should you gain? But they cannot say it. Why can they not say it? Because they backed out. Now, why does Rashi have to tell me? Why would we think that this first worker is going to get the extra amount of money? That has to do with the next din, which over there we'll see the din will be a little bit different. Now we're going to the fourth din, and we're starting daf Ainvov Amud Aleph. In Balabais Choizer Boy, if the Balabais backs out and he fires the workers, so Yodoy ala tachtoino, his hands is on the bottom, which means he's going to lose. Now, what does that mean he's going to lose? So therefore, irrelevant how much the second workers want, the first workers get what they did. And if there is any extra money because the second workers want less, they get the extra amount of money, they still get that. Let's see the Rashi. Itan ve'im balabais choizer bo yod ala tachtoino. Says Rashi, he has to give them according to what they did, because they didn't quit, so they don't have to lose. Now, and if the second worker's job became cheaper, so now he has extra money, al kolchoy, against his will, he gives them everything what he made up. That means he has to give them $100 minus what he needs to expense to finish the job. That means he gives the second workers 25 and the first workers 75, so now they gain. Now we're going to go to the fifth halacha in the Mishnah. Now the fifth halacha has nothing what to do with this. It's not even similar to the halachas before, so it's going to be a little bit different. In this halacha, we're talking about somebody who dyes clothing. He colors clothing, and he did the wrong color. So the question is, how much does he get paid? Now, in order to understand this Mishnah, we have to understand two concepts. Concept number one, something called oitzo. Oitzo means how much was the expenses of the tzabo, the dyer, in order to do his job. Now, the way they used to dye those days, they used to cook it with different spices, and so they needed gas and wood and whatever they need to actually expenses, and then that's called oitzo. And then there is another word that's called shevach. Shevach means the gain when the wool, let's say the material was worth $1, and after it was dyed, it was worth now more. Let's say it's worth now $3. So the shvach, the word is shvach, the gain is $2. Okay? How much more the item is worth now more. Okay, let's read the Gemara, the Mishnah. Kol HaMishane, anyone that changes from the color that he was supposed to do, Yodoi ala tachtoino, his hands is on the bottom, and he's going to lose. Let's see the Rashi. Rashi is going to explain us exactly the way it is. Kol HaMishane Yodoi ala tachtoino. Keep going. For example, Nosan tzemer latzabo letzavo yodom. If a guy gave wool to a dyer to color it red, השוכר, and he dyed it black. So if the gain is more than the expenses, let's say we make two columns. How much was the gain? The gain is $5, and the expenses is $3. So the gain is more. So what does he give him? Definitely doesn't give him his full payment. Meaning, let's say he wanted to, for the whole job, he wanted, let's say, $10. He doesn't give it to them. Rather, Elo, what is he giving them? He gives them only how much was his actually expenses. Now he's not even paying him for the time. He only pays him for the actually expensive, for the wood and the spices, whatever it cost him. And if the expenses that the dyer had was more than the gain, he gives them the shvach, he gives them how much the gain was. So that means the least amount between those two numbers, that's what the tzaba get. Now who gets to keep the wool? It goes back to the balabais. Now by the way, later on in the Gemara is going to bring that there is another opinion. Now the fifth, back to the Mishnah, the sixth halacha in the Mishnah, anyone that backs out, he's going to lose. Now, as soon as you read this halacha is coming to be extra, because either way, we already learned all different scenarios about all the people that changed and backed out in different cases. So why do we need the sixth halacha? That's why Rashi clarifies right away. Says Rashi, the Gemara is going to explain, what do we learn? What is this halacha coming to tell us? Thank you.